Tim Legler, ladies and gentlemen. We've been waiting all week to get to this one, and we got the touchscreen to break things down. But let's start in the beginning. It's a 17-15 game. It's like 5:50 to go. They hit a three, and here we go. With 5 minutes of game time later, it's a 27-point lead. What happened in that stretch?
Boston was getting all kinds of switches all over the floor, and they were just absolutely beating whatever was in front of them. And the weak side help was not good enough. One of the things we've loved about Dallas through this stretch was their weak side defense, protection at the rim. It just wasn't there. Porzingis got going early with some of these mid-range jumpers, but this is the stuff I'm talking about, where you just are putting your head down, winning your matchup, getting to the rim, nobody offering resistance. And by this point now, he's kind of rolling, but here's another one. Just bully Luka Doncic, get to your spot, go up, power through, very little resistance. This obviously was a highlight play the first half, splitting those two defenders and then flushing at the rim. One more time, Tatum here just catches, gets the switch with Kyrie, turns out of that. The reaction is late. Boston's aggressiveness and their confidence level that every matchup in front of them was a favorable one for them. They took advantage of it. You can't put a measure on what Kristaps Porzingis gave them with his jolt of electricity after not seeing him so long to come out, have that kind of an impact, man. What that did to that building, what it did to their team, it destabilized Dallas. I don't think they were prepared for what Kristaps Porzingis presented for them in the challenge in that first half.
And we wondered, would Dallas have some sort of an answer? Would they throw a combination of their own? And they did. And it gets to an 8-point game, and you said to me up in the room upstairs, you're like, well, let's see what happens now, right? You spend so much energy in the comeback, you get stops and you get makes. Is that going to happen? Is that going to sustain itself? What did Boston do when it got to that kind of frightening 8-point margin in the third to ultimately put this to bed?
Luka hits the three, right? Nods a little bit, has a little nod, and you're thinking like, oh, Luka's feeling it right now. Like now this is when there were a problem, one possession game. It was out of that timeout when they got back to what their strength is, which is using penetration to create chases at the three-point line. That's really what they did to kind of close this out. And this is what they were doing the whole time, Scott, right? They're just hunting who they want. Here's Luka. You're going to go and have Tatum set this screen right here, and then Tatum's going to peel out because you want ultimately Luka operating here against Jaylen Brown. And that's what they get. And Luka actually does a decent job initially. Like, he slides his feet. He kind of offers some resistance. Watch Jaylen Brown's determination. He kind of gets tied up here, but then he continues to go. And the fact that Kyrie Irving can't help off the corner means it's simple math. If you can get into the paint and bring somebody from the weak side to help, you've got 3-on-2 on the weak side. And that's basically what happens right here. You're going to get finally that backline defender has to come. And now you're going to see, because Horford's on the baseline, that means that Kleber's got to pinch down. And now, again, do the math. You got two shooters on the weak side. You got one defender to try to figure this out. Jaylen Brown's going to make the kick out. You get the chase from the top, one more swing, it's a wide open three. This is Boston at their best, 2 feet in the rim before they start getting the three. Here again, one more example, another switch, Jaylen Brown. Obviously, this is not the matchup you want if you're Dallas. You got Maxi Kleber on the island against Jaylen Brown. Now, here's what is important, Scott. If they're going to do these switches, very, very important. Kleber has to be aware, like, this is where all of the activity is. Very, very important defensively. Jump on that right hand and force him back to his left into the traffic. He doesn't do that. He gets beat to the opposite side, and what that means is you got two shooters over here. These guys aren't leaving. So now Jaylen Brown is downhill. You're going to force this reaction from the backline defender to come over to get in front. And, of course, you got a wide open three here, and this is unfortunate for Dallas' breakdown because you're down to 3 seconds on the clock when Brown wins this matchup. But, again, it always gets back to the same thing on this night, which is Dallas's inability to keep the ball in front of them in any sort of one-on-one coverage. Because of the versatility of Boston's players, the number of switches that they were getting, Dallas just really was destabilized from the beginning defensively. This was not the defense that we saw Dallas play for the last 3 months of the season. Give Boston a lot of credit. This was a dominant performance on both ends of the floor. I'm on fire. It's 88 over here.